Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Oscar. I'm part of the marketing and communications team at ComCorp. On behalf of our CEO, Christine Abrams, and Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Rosalyn Acosta, I welcome you. Thank you for being here. It's been several weeks for preparing everything, and finally we are here. So thank you for joining us. Commonwealth Corporation is a quasi non-profit organization that fosters workforce equity in the state of Massachusetts by delivering innovative and collaborative professional development solutions that help diverse communities and employers succeed. As the bridge between public and private partnerships, our vision is a world where meaningful employment can lead to upward mobility for all. As a leader in workforce development, we are committed to having diversity, equity, and inclusion embedded into the programs and services we offer, specifically with the goals of reaching small businesses with an emphasis on minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses. In 2021, we impacted over 20,000 workers, but we want to make sure that the biggest impact we have are in historically disadvantaged communities and those most affected by the pandemic. At ComCorp, we can help you invest in the future workforce, develop an immediate pipeline of workers, and train and upskill your current workforce. Today, we will be talking about the important and impact of workforce development resources for the LGBTQ owned businesses community, connecting you to local organizations that can help you develop a strategy and gathering insights into what additional areas of need there are that we can help you overcome. As we lead the change, we aim to identify and dismantle historical and existing barriers within our systems, policies, and practices to create long-term economic opportunity and access for all. With that being said, I would like to extend our warmest gratitude to our event partners. They each will give you an overview of what they do and how can they help you. We would like to invite them to the podium to introduce themselves and share a 3-minute overview of how can you help small businesses grow. Welcome, Angie Montalvo Green. She is the Engagement Director at the Western Massachusetts Engagement Director at the Massachusetts LGBT Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Angie.
You did good, Oscar. As Oscar said, I am the Western Mass Engagement Director, and we support businesses from A to B. We are the only statewide organization that serves LGBTQ plus business owners. And I see many of you in the audience are members, and it's so good to see you in person. It's our first in-person event. And we serve from A to Z, right? From grants, one-on-one collaboration, bringing members together. We say, and we really pride ourselves in this, in that ask us for what you need. Challenge us. There is no request off limits. So if you have a small business, I will welcome the opportunity to speak with you and to learn more about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. We have Amanda Lacroix, Diverse and Small Business Engagement Coordinator for the Supplier Diversity Office of Massachusetts. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks, everybody. As he said, my name is Amanda LaCroix. I work for the Massachusetts Supplier Diversity Office. We are the newest executive agency. We were elevated to independent agency status about 2 years ago now. Basically, our job is to make sure the state of Massachusetts is spending money with diverse and small businesses. A couple ways we do that. We have 2 main programs. One is the Supplier Diversity Program. One is the Small Business Purchasing Program. Through those programs, there are benchmarks that state agencies have to hit with our certified businesses to make sure that they're on track with their spending goals. We also help connect diverse and small businesses with municipal or higher education contracting opportunities. I was actually just at an event for procurement officials yesterday And I talked to somebody from Holyoke Community College, somebody from Smith College, and they say, hey, we want to use your directory, but we don't see as many Western Massachusetts businesses certified. So I'm here to hopefully connect with some eligible businesses to get you certified so that you can start doing business with the cities and towns out here, because they're looking to intentionally spend money with these businesses. And I just had a couple numbers that I wanted to share. You know, the state spends a ton of money, billions of dollars, right? And so in our last annual report, our 2021 annual report, we reported that minority business enterprise spending was up 20% from 2020 to 2021. Women was up 15%. Small business was up 12%, and LGBT business enterprise spending was up 966%. Yeah, and yeah, I know, that's crazy, right? But there's still, there's hundreds and hundreds of $1 million that the state is spending, and I want them to be spending that money with small and diverse businesses. So if you're a small business owner, if you know a small business owner, please come talk to me. I have business cards, I have certification flyers. I'd love to talk to you about certifying your business and see how we can get you some more money. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. We have here Karen Damon Carswell. She is the Vice President Business Development for the West Region for Mass Development. Thank you, Karen, for being here, and thank you for the refreshments. Feel free, everybody, to get some. They are really good.
Well, thank you, Big Bear, who's a chamber member, and they're right down the hall. So yes, I'm 60 days into my new position for business development, and prior to that, I actually worked as a consultant in the area, and the chamber is near and dear to my heart. Help them with their business accelerator, so really happy to be here. I get a little verklempt, I can't help it. I'm a mom. Anyway, so what does mass development do, and what am I learning about mass development? DEI initiatives are at the forefront of every conversation that we're having. It is part of our strategy, and it is part of the conversations that I want to have with anybody who's seeking finance, kind of getting some barriers. If you're working with a bank, we work in collaboration with a bank. We do participation loans, loan guarantees. We also have some bond financing. Don't worry about how that works. I can explain it. It's very simple. I won't do that now. But I encourage you to have one-on-one conversations with me. And if you're having financial conversations, if you're growing or scaling, we want to talk with you. We want to see what barriers you're having as well. I collect that information, and the more data that I collect, the more I can roll that up to make some changes or to make things more accessible if they're not. I know that when I refer people to the mass.gov website, it's like, you have a nice conversation, you're like, click here, boom, there's just a whole lot of information. Even when you go to One Stop, right, to apply for a grant, it's okay, kind of roll back, have a conversation with me, or I will point you into the direction of somebody who has been through that process. Or if you're a part of the chamber, they're very good at getting businesses together to have a conversation about how that process went and what worked for them, and some shared learning there. So again, I'm really excited to be here. This is our inaugural sponsorship event, and I couldn't be more proud to be here in Western Massachusetts. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. I would like to welcome Xiomara Alban de Lobato. She's the Chief of Staff for the Western Mass Economic Development Council. Thank you, Xiomara, for being here again.
Thank you. I feel like I wore the right color today. So thank you, Oscar. I'm Xiomara Alban de Lobato, Chief of Staff with the EDC. And the Economic Development Council is the largest regional convener of our largest corporations and our largest companies in the Western region. So we pride ourselves in being able to leverage the influence and power that our large corporations have, which is something that is, it happens across the country, where corporations have major influence in the economic development, both on the procurement side, the literal types of investment that happens in communities, workforce development, et cetera. So direction that the EDC has been moving in the past couple of years is being very, very intentional with ensuring that our corporate heads, our CEOs, our presidents, from the top down, because it really does matter from the top down, that there's this added intentional effort and strategic pivoting on how to support our communities. So what I mean by that is specifically working with our community and unfolding from there, both our customers, right, of our big corporations, if you're consuming their product or service, whether it's hospital services, education, literal tangible products, and then also supporting how we pipeline this workforce development in terms of hiring locally, et cetera. We have been very focused on this major project the past couple of years called the Western Mass Anchor Collaborative, where we have brought in our largest corporations such as Bay State, UMass Amherst, HCC, and there's 8 of them that are literally rolling up their sleeves. They're saying, yes, let's do this internal assessment. We're gonna become vulnerable. We're gonna see the work that we're doing internally on the procurement side and the HR side, and we're gonna get to work. So I am so happy to hear that HCC reached out to the SDO, because HCC is a major anchor of ours, and we've been working on setting these baselines for procurement with this focus on minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, LGBTQ-owned businesses. So essentially, the way that we can support all of our businesses here and anyone who's also a major employer or looking for various workforce development options is being able to connect with us so we can either refer to various partners. So all of our chambers, Mass Development is a major partner of ours, same Berkshire Bank, et cetera, SDO as well. And if there's this very intentional effort on our anchors doing business with our small businesses, and we've restructured their internal processes, which is important, right? How to make contracts accessible, how to get quotes accessible, how to make sure that our local companies are competitive in being able to access, these major procurement opportunities, and then same on the workforce side. So there's a lot I can talk about that, but I will stop there. And thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Xiomara. I would like to welcome Megan Williams, Mass Hire Rapid Response Program Coordinator for Mass Hire BizWorks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Megan Williams. I am here on behalf of the Mass Hire BizWorks team. Mass Hire BizWorks is actually the only place to find everything you need to help you through all the phases of your business cycle. I know various programs have been mentioned, and we do align those resources and services provided to Massachusetts businesses in one place. And you'll see these on the table. This is our lovely resource guide for businesses. We hope you grab one. Our team would love an opportunity to meet with you and listen to your business needs, whether it be a need for money for new equipment, a need for safety training, or assistance with hiring, or any other business concerns you may have. We help businesses throughout the cycle. Feel free to speak to one of our team members afterwards should you have any questions, would like to schedule a meeting, or just to grab a resource guide. With me today are Carol and Lewis. Feel free to chat with them as well. And just to mention, Mass Hire BizWorks has partnered with the Massachusetts LGBT Chamber of Commerce and will be giving a more in-depth Mass Hire BizWorks presentation on November 9th. Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. Last but not least, I would like to welcome Ron Molina Brantley, VP Relationship Manager and Team Leader for Rivex Labs.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here wearing multiple hats as a corporate sponsor of the Mass LGBTQ Chamber and a board member of the Mass Chamber as well. I'm excited to share as much information as I can with you. Like Oscar said, I'm Ron Molina Brantley, First Vice President at Berkshire Bank. And what I do is we here at Berkshire Bank, we want to do a different approach for banking. We want to really concentrate on the community and our small business. And we're doing that we recently launched a multi-year $5 billion community investment. And with that, we have 4 pillars, but 2 of those pillars are around small business and low and moderate income communities. We invested $1.5 billion into small businesses, and we do that by a few different things. One of them is our Futures Fund line of credit, where it's particularly for LGBTQ, minority-owned, people of color, veterans and disabilities, and women-owned businesses. businesses, where we get a low interest, 3% interest or prime interest rate line of credit up to $50,000. And the process for that is pretty streamless, really easy to apply. And if you have any questions on that, I'll give you more information. As well as we do a lot of financial literacy, financial wellness programs within the Revex Labs, primarily around the Green Path Financial Wellness Program that we offer free credit repair, free counseling, free debt consolidation, and just a slew of other information as a whole. We're also a corporate partner for the New England Minority Diversity Supplier Program. So I'm going to share a lot of information, so I'll keep this brief, but I'm really excited to share what we have to offer.
Thank you, Ron. Feel free to grab any materials, business cards our partners have brought. They are in that table. It's really helpful to reach out to them. They have all the knowledge you need to build your business to make it grow. So feel free to reach out to them. We will have a networking opportunity at the end of the event. Welcome, everyone. I'm delighted to present to you our speakers and panel moderator, which is me, for this evening. It is our hope that you gain valuable insights from their experiences. Speakers, as we introduce you, we invite you to come up to the table. Terrell Joyner, partner at Unity Financial and Insurance Group. Terrell, a Connecticut native and Western Massachusetts graduate. Where is Terrell? Here, welcome. Wherever you want, there's water. Terrell, a Connecticut native and Western Massachusetts graduate, puts his passion at the forefront of his practice. He has successfully been able to help business owners find solutions for their financial concerns and in the implementation of strategies that grow and expand their businesses. In his personal planning practice, he has focused on educators. Being married to a teacher and an adjunct professor at Elms College, Terrell understands the struggle teachers face with balancing their workload and personal lives. Terrell believes that proper planning and understanding one's goals will overcome any financial restraints. As a member of the LGBTQ community, Terrell has been a champion for equality and social justice. He understands firsthand the diverse skill set needed to meet the needs and desires of all of his clients. Terrell also launched his business coaching practice in January 2021. The business model of RJ Consulting is to teach business owners how to put their business hat on and run their business like a corporation. The consulting business focuses on minority-owned and women-owned businesses. Terrell's charitable interests are a direct reflection of his passion as he provides financial literacy to students and adults alike. In his spare time, he loves to garden, golf, barbecue, and brew homemade wine. Welcome, Terrell. I would like to welcome Ron Molina Brantley, VP Relationship Manager, Team Leader at Revex Labs. Ron Molina Brantley is the Vice President, Relationship Manager, and Team Leader for Berkshire Bank. He has been employed as a community banker at Berkshire Bank for the last year after having spent the last few years working at Valley Venture Mentors, where he helped businesses throughout Springfield and the Pioneer Valley regions with technical assistance and mentorship. His professional career spans nearly 20 years, having started his career working within the finance department for the city of Springfield. He joined Valley Venture Mentors in 2016 as Vice President of Operations before being promoted to Chief Operating Officer in 2017. As CEO of Valley Venture Mentors, Ron was instrumental in helping reshape the organization and helping entrepreneurs and small businesses reach their fullest potential. Ron and his partner, Kelvin Molina Brantley, are co-owners of our Modern Love Candles company, a small business creating hand-poured, locally sourced candles made from eco-friendly soy wax and dyes that are free from carcinogens, pollutants, and toxins. Welcome, Ron. I would like to introduce Xiomara Alban de Lobato. Welcome, Xiomara. Xiomara currently serves as the Chief of Staff for the Western Massachusetts Economic Development Council, where she facilitates the growth and development of a vigorous regional economy by encouraging, influencing, and sustaining capital investing and quality job growth in Western Massachusetts. With over a decade of experience in the public and private sector, she has dedicated her career and community involvement in serving as an active change agent and a steadfast advocate for equitable access to economic and academic opportunities in the region and beyond. She previously served in leadership roles at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, Elms College, Springfield College, and the University of New Hampshire, as well as professional experiences with the Office of Mayor Dominic Sarno of Springfield, Massachusetts, and Office of Congressman Richard Neal. Xiomara also serves as an active board member for Girls Inc. of the Valley, the Springfield Public Forum, and trustee for Veritas Prep Charter School in Springfield, Massachusetts. Thank you, Xiomara. And I would like to introduce Isa Wang. Welcome, Isa. Isa is an artist, founder of the Gamut Pins, and co-founder of the Bauer Studio. He is an entrepreneur, artist, and designer. His explorative practice centers around the possibility of transformation and intersecting identities. Autobiographical artifacts are juxtaposed against broad symbolism, while cultural and gendered boundaries are traversed with performative and interactive elements. As a trans person, he's experienced firsthand the need for pronoun identifiers. The frustration of being the only person in the workplace to correct misgendering spurred the idea for pronoun pins, and Gamut Pins was born. Isa holds a BFA from the School of the Museum of Fine Arts, Tufts in Boston, and MFA from the School of Visual Arts in New York, where he was a recipient of the SVA Alumni Scholarship Award, the Art Practice Thesis Project Grant, and the Art Practice Thesis Award. Isa Wang and Vicente Frano are co-owners of the plantable stationery business, the Bauer Studio in Easthampton. They are proudly queer-owned and operated, and a portion of their profits are donated to ecological and transgender organizations. Welcome, Isa. Great, so I would like to start. Terrell, I think, there's another microphone there. How does your organization support the LGBTQ community?
So like the bio said, I wear a few different hats, and I work as a financial planner, and I also work as a business coach. And so in the financial planning world, working with LGBT families is something that's very unique. And I'm in an industry that is dominated by older white men. And so I stick out like a unicorn. Not only am, again, a man of color, but also, again, married to my husband, and proudly married to my husband. And so that forces me to closet myself at points in my career. And so through that journey, I felt what my families go through when they're sitting with an advisor and they don't feel heard. Because many advisors put them in a bubble of a straight couple. And so they try to match up two women, two men, regardless of the background, to what a male and female straight relationship would look like. And so the feedback that I get from my clients is super overwhelming and warming, because the biggest response I get is that they feel heard, that I actually listen to their story, and they feel like somebody is listening to them and listening to their goals, their concerns, their priorities. And one of the biggest things that we talk about with our LGBT families is legacy. not many people are talking legacy planning for the LGBT families. It's the traditional mindset, not for the LGBT families. And so it's a great market to work with because, again, people see me and I see them. And it's been a while, being young in my career and being a minority, I felt like an outcast, and I felt like I had to work 10 times harder to meet the same success as my peers. But I'm finally at a level where I don't have to worry about that. And I've kept talking about myself in those situations quiet, not talking about my husband, because of being worried of who's on the other side of that table and what they're going to think about when it comes to, are they going to want to work with me? I already had people not wanting to work with me just by how I looked. So it's great now to be at a level where I don't care. And I get that vibe right back to my clients, and they feel that. And so it is empowering, and it's even more exciting working with my business owners because it's the same idea. They've been through this journey of constant hurdle after hurdle. And my passion is education. And so I teach at the college level, but with the practice, I bring that back to the table to say, all right, as a business owner, these are some things you need to think about. Not just selling you a product or putting in a retirement plan or putting in benefits. That doesn't benefit you if you don't understand how that works. So that is a major component of the financial planning practice of some more supporting the LGBT minority business owners in that realm of knowing that they can actually achieve what these bigger corporations can achieve by providing benefits to their employees. And that's what employees are looking for. When you go to a big corporation like a Bay State, like a Mercy, you're expecting a 403B or a 401k, you're expecting health insurance, but these small business owners don't think they can afford it. And so when we talk about solutions that are inexpensive, that now make you valuable, somebody is actually more apt to leave a larger company and come work with these small business owners. And it's exciting because they're feeling empowered as an employee working for a small business because they're right there with the owner versus working for these larger corporations. They're so distant. And again, when you think about, again, an LGBT-owned business who wants to support diversity, we hear the D&I and that buzzword now. But in a corporation setting, sometimes you're just a checkbox. And so being able to support these business owners is very rewarding in my eyes because I'm able to provide them the resources, the support that they need to empower themselves and, again, provide that corporation feel for their employees. And on the business coaching side, I really focus on minority businesses. I have all minority and women-owned businesses, and our passion there, or my passion, is really teaching folks how to put a business hat on. And the biggest
wait there, we'll get to that part. Okay. Yes. As a business owner, you know what they need. So what are you doing in your business to help the LGBTQ community and your teams?
Just borrow your mic, I guess. Thanks. Yeah, so especially we have two brands. We have the Bauer Studio, which is the plantable stationery greeting cards, and then we also have Gamut Pins, which is professional enamel or metal pronoun identifiers, like the one I have on. And that one came a little later. So the Bauer Studio I started in 2011, and then Gamut Pins came in 2016. And originally it was a side project for me. I was kind of fully involved with the Bauer Studio, but I just had this feeling like there's this issue that I keep personally experiencing, and I can't be the only one, where I constantly have to either like lead with my pronouns or wait for somebody to guess wrong and then correct them, or especially in a workplace environment, being the only one to have to state your pronouns. And this is 2016, so I think a lot has changed in the last 6 years around pronouns and how we introduce ourselves, but at the time it really felt like no one was doing that. So I thought that having something that would just do the talking for you would really help in these situations. I'm not a very extroverted person, so just having that one less barrier when I am introducing myself to people really helped. And so beyond that, as that business kind of grew and actually really took off in a way that I didn't expect, because there was just this demand for this product, we've taken it upon ourselves to donate 10% of our profits to organizations that we really believe in. So the first we partnered with was Harbor Camps. And one of the camps they do is specifically for trans and gender variant kids. It's based out of New Hampshire, which is a really beautiful initiative, just having a safe space for people and kids to just be themselves and enjoy their summers. And then the second organization that we recently partnered with is Translate Gender, based out of Northampton. And we've been working with them a lot on providing resources for how to have conversations around pronouns, because I think it's one thing to just give people the pins and the hardware and just be like, okay, there you go, like problem solved. But it's really not appropriate. A lot of folks, when they wear them, they're gonna get weird questions from people. They may not know how to respond. They may not know how to have that conversation and advocate for themselves. And so we are partnering them to provide resources. It's on our website. There's a list of different things like talking points you can have with folks if they don't understand or if they're giving you some kind of pushback. We experience that a lot. And besides that, there's a bunch of queer folks of all different flavors on our team. And we're involved in the local community. We like to show up for Pride events and queer makers markets and just be really involved and make sure that when people are getting the product, it's not just a point of sale. They're feeling validated, they're feeling seen, they're feeling supported, and just viewing it in a holistic way.
Amazing. I'm jealous. I know Lucila has one pin. I need one pin.
We'll get you one. Yeah.
Deal. Xiomara, I want to know how are you helping the LGBTQ community? How is your organization helping this community?
Such a good question. So I definitely work on the corporate side. So I do a lot of the behind the scenes work, is how I like to describe it. So I'm a firm believer that our community, our business owners, you know what you want, right? You know what you need in order to thrive in any economy. Usually the problem are like the big businesses and corporations that have a lot of ownership in the region. And so that being said, something that we commit to and something that I personally do in my role is essentially work with our CEOs. Again, mentioning that top head of the house is so important, to have leaning in, to be learning, so that there is an organizational commitment to this work to support our marginalized communities. And I do a lot of work with our CEOs and their institutions on ensuring that their internal infrastructures are set up in a way that there is this inclusive culture, that they can cultivate this sense of belonging for our LGBTQ community plus. And it is a hard conversation for a lot of our corporations and a lot of our business heads. And a big part of it is because when you are so ingrained in a specific form of business, that usually takes precedent over, thinking about the people. And I am someone who leverages my privilege. I have to recognize that, as a cisgendered, very feminine lesbian woman. When I walk in a space, that's not my sexual identity is not something that people think about right away. So I personally, as an ally within this community, as someone who really truly leverages this privilege that I carry, I will take that space up and use it to educate.
As a chief of staff, what are some activities, tactics, strategies you are implementing or you're probably looking forward to the next years? Okay,
so some tangible and tactical things. So we're doing a lot of organizational structural DE&I training. So not just the foundational, personal training and awareness. Like we're talking like business organizational training, like your HR policies, are they inclusive in terms of language, for example? And some are not in the region. So we work very directly with each of our businesses to ensure that that internal infrastructure is inclusive, is up to date. We're looking at, various processes policies and practices internally that perhaps provide some type of exclusion towards our LGBTQ community. Healthcare specifically has been a big one for us recently, and just personally, I bring that story into a lot of spaces. My wife and I are going through full family planning, and the healthcare service for the LGBTQ community is just atrocious. So that being said, it has really put everything to the forefront of, all right, what do your HR policies look like? What kind of health insurances do you offer your employees? What type of support systems, affinity groups do you have internally in order to recruit, retain, and support? And again, the EDC, we are representing all of our industries in the region. So we're talking like manufacturing to, insurance to tech and all of that. And each industry is very different. Yeah. So
your experience is super long. You've done many things. You've worked in many places. So I'm sure you've seen many things. How is this changing? How is the stereotype changing? Do you see we are advancing? I know there's many things we still need to do and advocate for the LGBTQ community, but have you seen it has changed over 5-10 years?
Yes, I do. Yes and no. So Terrell mentioned how there's some corporations that will just see DE&I as a checkbox, right? And I 100% believe that, and that is true, because we're in this society where it looks bad if you don't have DE&I practices listed on your website if you're not actively doing something internally. So there's some of that happening. However, there's also well-intended efforts that are being made in many of our businesses, and I'm specifically focusing on the local of Western Massachusetts, where there's a lot of intentional work that's happening. However, there's just gaps of knowledge and support, and so I do see that there's been a lot of progression. I do see that there's still some hesitation in being able to create inclusive frameworks and inclusive communities. And I also think that there's just still a lot of room for opportunity in that space. So I think it's important to bring the resources in and just build coalition so that we can support and continue this work, or else it stops, in my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you got a big job. Thank you for what you're doing. I'm sure we will get there someday. But Ron, I want to know, you're from this industry where boys club, totally. So how do you feel? How are we advancing? What are you doing? What is your organization doing?
Yes, the traditional financial institutions, they don't like people like us. They don't like people like me. And you walk into a branch or a location, you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel welcome, you don't feel warm. And that can be really daunting and scary. So as a whole, when I decided to go to Berkshire Bank, that's the first thing that I challenged them about. As an openly gay man with 2 kids, who I love dearly, 7 and 6, they drive me crazy sometimes. I want to make sure I'm living my authentic life and my authentic self. And I look at that, and I'd say that for my clients, I want to make sure they feel comfortable. We provide a warm, opening, inviting area for them to be their authentic selves, whoever they choose to be. So when you look at a bank as a whole, the leadership team, they don't look like me. They don't sound like me. They don't have the same experience as me. So I want to take that and my lived experiences and bring it to the bank. So I'm proud to run a division or initiative called Revex Labs where we do that, our forefront. And my main goal is to help people within the LGBTQ community, within the people of color community, minorities, veteran-owned, women-owned, and individuals with disabilities. And I do that unapologetically. I am not afraid to say I am here to really serve you and to be targeted to ask to give you help, because financial institutions play a huge role in our economy and our ecosystem. We provide loans, we provide access to capital, we help small businesses grow, and sometimes without that, we just don't have help, and you can't really grow from a whole ecosystem. So what I do is I just focus on that community. And I will say, I give a shout out to Grace Moreno. She challenged all of her corporate sponsors and said, you know what, we need something for our community. So she challenged us. So she was instrumental in creating the Future Fund line of credit, which is the first part of that is for LGBTQ minority-owned businesses. She's like, you know what? We need something specifically for this community. And then we have this line of credit for that, which I unapologetically give out. I'm so excited when I meet a new business owner. When Angie gives me a new referral, it's like, yes, I can help someone else out, someone grow, someone to help their families, because small business ownership and financial literacy and wellness is a huge part of breaking the systemic barriers and to create generational wealth, because we know most of our community, we don't have the generational wealth. We don't have the friends and family. We don't have our grandparents or our parents to say, here's $50,000. Start a business. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we don't do that. We use our savings. We use our kids' college funds. We use our funds to start our businesses, and we shouldn't do that. You should use our money. You should use banks' money. And that's what it's there for. The government gives banks a lot of money. There's a lot of grants out there. There's a lot of money for our support. But you have to claw and know someone that knows someone that knows someone to get access to these resources. And the people on this panel have those resources. We want to share those resources with you. And we want to break down those doors for you, because we know people before us broke down those doors, and we want to help as best I can. Hope that answered your question.
It does. Thank you, Ron. I know you have 10 employees, right? So what are you doing for them? How are you helping them to feel welcome, to create a good employee experience?
And first of all, we respect people's pronouns. I think that can actually be really a contentious point, especially if you use unconventional neo-pronouns like people just don't take you seriously. You're not viewed as a valuable asset. So there's that. And also it's myself, my partner, and then we have 8 employees currently. So we are not required to offer health insurance to our full-time employees, but we do because, we didn't think we could. We are a very small business. We've made a lot of growth in the last year and a half, but before that, I just thought it was completely out of our reach. But being in touch with people that can help you walk through it, it's a complicated process. I am the HR team currently. So just recognizing that this was something that our folks need. I don't think that they should have to make a sacrifice for working with a small business where they just forfeit their health insurance. I mean, it doesn't matter. You need health insurance wherever you're working. You're going to get hurt. Something's going to happen. You need support. But also, as trans folks, you need a lot of support for gender affirming care. And luckily, Massachusetts is quite supportive with that. And not all places are. And I know how difficult it can be with my own experience. We just make sure that we're there, we're supportive of people, we recognize them, we validate them in however they want to be seen. We don't put weird, requirements on being presentable in a certain way. We just, however you want to show up, as long as you do the work, we're good.
Thank you, Isa. Terrell, so I know you come from the corporate side, but in your coaching business, what are you doing? I know it's just you now, but what are you doing to help these people that come to you, that they want to grow, that they want to get a job? Some of these folks might be members of the LGBTQ community, so what advice do you give them? How can they go for an interview without having any fear of how are they going to perceive them? So from the coaching part, what do you tell them?
So when it comes to the coaching side of the business, it's really just being your authentic self. And that's honestly what I preach, because if you're going to be a business owner and you're going to attract quality talent, you're going to want to be authentic with what you do. I have a very small team, so no crazy culture, but my philosophy on company culture is comfortable. You should be able to come to work, feel comfortable, not have to feel like you have to put on a face in order to be there. So I have 2 assistants on the coaching side and an assistant on the planning side, but we had a client who goes by they. And so it was a great learning experience. And so my employee understands that they is very important and address them by they. And it was a few hiccups of offline, of correcting, but it was very comfortable. It was just a simple conversation every time my assistant said she, they, and it was non-confrontational and just a comfortable setting. And so that's the same idea that I preach to the business owners of just simply be yourself and respect people.
Great, thank you, Terrell. Xiomara, how do you feel? What is the Western Mass Economic Development Council doing? I know you were telling us about these trainings, but regarding employee experience for the LGBTQ community, what have you seen?
Great question. I'm the only LGBTQ employee at my company right now. And because of that, though, in my personality, I navigate this world very unapologetically. Like, for anyone that knows me, don't care, right? So, and I think I harness a lot of that just from my own personal story, coming from immigrant parents, and just that part of very important identity and experience that I have. So in my company, it is a mission for me to ensure that the company culture is set up in a way that we are inclusive, we are welcoming, it's a place of learning. There's a big age difference in my company as well. I'm like, the next youngest colleague is like 3 decades older. Mm-hmm. So add that, right, to the difference in generation, tons of experience that, we collectively bring to the table. So I love being in spaces that give me challenge for learning. And again, maybe I'm the only one. Like, give me a challenge, a person that I need to work on a little bit more, I will take it. Like, I will take that challenge. So I've been super intentional in having these very open conversations with my team, with the staff, and it's constant learning. So not only it's a place of comfort, but I have a very high expectation of learning where we're leaning in. And it's okay to have, different thoughts and opinions, but we're gonna talk through that, so. And I make that a pointed effort in everything that we do, from our staff meetings to committee meetings to how we look at the future when we're talking succession planning, like literal policy, operational updates and changes. So it's a lot of internal infrastructural shifting that we've had to do. And the other thing that I embarked the entire team on is this DE&I journey, where we have to plug who we're working with just because they've done an amazing job. They're called Leading Culture Solutions from Connecticut, and they specialize in organizational changes in the corporate setting. So and that's important, where we're able to dive into those policies, dive into the frameworks, unravel them, unlearn, and then relearn a new way of doing business. So it has been very interesting. I give a lot of props to my team because it's uncomfortable. And I specialize in being very comfortable in like uncomfortable situations. So that is a technique that I like using because if someone's uncomfortable and you're there and you're like willing and able, even though you're uncomfortable, then I can work with that. There's part of you that wants to learn a little bit. You want to be able to unpack this, and we're going to do it together. So it's really been an ongoing thing with us, and that same level of intensity, like thoughtful intensity and literal work, it's unfolded into our membership. So that same type of work is being infused in Bay State, in the work that I'm doing with the chancellor at UMass Amherst, with the work that we're doing, with all our manufacturers in the region. Again, each are different industries which pose different challenges, but still comfortable in confidence and gentleness through uncomfortness of learning. And that's important. And I bring my whole self So, for them, it's kind of like a take it or leave it. I'm doing this anyways, and I hope you join me kind of vibe.
Thank you, Xiomara. Ron, you told us about the corporate sector, but what about Rivex? What sets you apart? What are you doing for the LGBTQ community? I know you're growing. I know Rivex is new, but what are you doing for the community? What is setting you apart?
Yes. Other than our Future Fund line of credit, we are really intentional about helping with our community as a whole. Our whole department, I would say there's 6 of us. We're all people of color as a whole. And I think that's really important. We represent this demographic that you don't see in a financial institution, especially a traditional one. And Rivex Labs, like I said before, we're really unapologetic, and we really are focused on just this small section because if we don't, then no one else will. So what I do is I go and I work with these small business owners and these entrepreneurs and these individuals who need financial literacy and help them. Give them all the resources that I know, and I connect them with other resources. What I do from a leadership position is we look at all the systems that we have internally, especially when it comes to evaluating credit. Credit is really important, especially the fine line. So what we did for a few of our products is lowered the credit requirement from a traditional 630 to as low as 525. And what me and my team are trying to do is get that lower. We want to create a character-based lending process that we take away all that stuff. It doesn't matter what credit scores, because so many people's history can dictate where they are going in the future. And that shouldn't happen. It should be based off of someone's character, someone's willing in their drive and their entrepreneurial spirit to get them to the next spot. Because you can see it. You can tell. You are here now, and that says something. You're here for the resources. That says something. And that should qualify for something. And you're looking for the resources, and that should be a criteria, but unfortunately is not. So we are challenging the status quo at our bank. And I'm lucky that I work for a small community bank where you can. We have access to the CEO, we have access to the board, and we say, this is what I think we should do in our community. We have listened to the people in our community. I've listened to the LGBT community. I listened to the people of color community. And as one from both of those is, I know as a business owner what we need, the resources that we need out there. I struggle as well when it comes to finding resources. Sometimes I struggle. I am terrible at marketing. I'm like, who do I help? And as a business owner, you do 5,000 different things. 1 second, I'm cleaning up the floor, or another second, I'm writing a grant application. So it's important that we understand that there's help out there. I don't have all the answers, but I know I can help, and I will be challenged. I love to be challenged. So please feel free to say, hey, Ron, what about this? Have you thought about this? I was like, no, I haven't, but I have that access, and I have that privilege. Even though it's really, really small privilege. But I do have that privilege to access our CEO and our challenge, our status quo, and our systems as it stands right now.
It's amazing. I'm considering moving to Springfield.
You should.
Yeah.
You should.
Okay, 1 minute answer. We are running out of time. Isa, what barriers are in place for the LGBTQ community, and how can we tear them down? One barrier.
All right. I'm going to just put this out there. Well, okay. If I have to pick one, I think it may be financial literacy, just because I did not go to business school. I'm an artist. I did not go into entrepreneurship planning to be an employer even. I just thought I was going to make my own art and do my thing, but that's just not the way it played out. And I'm completely self-taught. I mean, I just read books and listen to podcasts and ask questions and try to gain as much knowledge as I can. I took one entrepreneurship class in college and almost failed. And, but on top of that, that class was not designed for me. It was not designed for businesses like me. It was all about venture capital and pitching and getting acquired. And none of it made sense to me. I was like, I don't understand this. I don't relate to this. I don't know how this helps me at all. So just having access to somebody who's a mentor, someone who can guide you through all the intricacies of legal stuff, making sure you've got all your ducks in a row, your bases covered, that's a huge thing. And especially the Chamber has been really great for that. I feel like we kind of just stepped into our big kid business shoes this year with their assistance, and it's but it's hard to ask for that help. It's hard to feel like you deserve the help, and it's hard to feel like you can tap on someone's shoulder and be like, hey, we need some advice.
Thank you, Isa. Terrell, one barrier, one solution.
Wow, barrier solution.
I had planned many barriers, but I have to say, working with business owners, number one is resources, and it's great. We just heard an amazing amount of resources that are now available. They're there, and I think it's overwhelming. And somebody said it earlier where you, I think it was Karen saying, going on the site. That's the problem, is as a business owner, you're wearing every hat, your HR, your marketing, your sales, your CEO, CFO, you're doing everything to think about writing a grant, to think about figuring out where you're going to find funding, where you're finding your customers. And so that's the challenge that our business owners are running into, is that they can't navigate the resources. Yes, they are there and they're scattered, but there is a challenge of just having that one portal, clicking a single button, I need help here, and just navigating that way. And I do have to compliment the Chamber, because they have been a great resource for a lot of the business owners and myself that I've worked with. And so I think that's the biggest challenge, is really just creating some kind of portal that is just super simple to navigate to all of these different organizations that have the resources. And keep it simple. We know that acronym, so.
Xiomara, what do you think?
Oh, okay. So I want to say like access to capital, but we all know that, right? Access to capital is a major, major barrier, but there are so many resources. There's so many resources out there. So I just have to say, they're like a centralized hub would be really helpful to just know what these resources are. So that's that thought, just because I had it in my head. But the other one barrier that I'm seeing right now, and because I'm in the thick of this work, is access to competitive contracts for our small vendors, for our big corporations that are with the EDC. And that is a major priority that we've had, and it is on the forefront for the next 5, 7, 10 years plus. So access to competitive contracts, so that we are able to refocus and refunnel revenue back into the region, which only multiplies the positive impact to our small businesses, their families, their children, school system. It is just like a positive ripple effect. A solution to that, I think, one thing that we're doing on this micro level with the anchor is trying to create very clear transparency of contracts and RFPs and quotes, because there's some private companies that don't require RFPs, whereas state entities do. So some of our large private companies, they can just say, send me a quote. It could be $100,000 and great, I'll accept the quote, versus the thorough RFP process that happens. And some of that information isn't open. It's just not open. And I have to remember that everyone, we're all in the thick of our own work. So it requires like intentional attention, intentional partnerships, from our financial institutions, other organizations in the region, to make sure that we're focused and we're paying attention and creating these pipelines that allow for seamless transaction and relationship building. So that solution would be like having more transparency on the type of contracts, quotes, and opportunities for our small businesses. And then the other side, from community to corporate, right? And that side of the bridge is preparing our vendors, small businesses that provide a good or service, to what Isa was saying, like having financial literacy, how to understand a contract, how to understand an RFP, how to write an RFP, right? Or a response to, because I know, without mentioning any names, there are companies that have literally denied a small, like local business RFP response because they just didn't like how it was written. That's a problem. So there's that other, so it's a both way. It's like like both sides of this bridge need to be doing this work. So.
Thank you, Xiomara. Ron, you cannot talk about money. 1 minute, one barrier, one solution.
I know he says I can't talk about money, but money is really important. It really is. And access to high quality capital is, bar none, really important. So with that being said, I know he challenged me not to, but that's okay. I work for a financial institution, so I can just not listen. So with that being said, my barrier is trying to reduce or eliminate the barrier to access to financial capital, specifically for LGBT community, minority-owned, people of color, veterans, women-owned, individuals with disabilities. Just that laser focus. So when you say, okay, Ron, how are you going to do that? Challenge me. We do have a line of credit, but that is great. Don't get me wrong, but there's still barriers to that. So I would say I want to sit here in front of you today and say I'm going to challenge myself and challenge Berkshire Bank to create a character-based lending microloan program for entrepreneurs and small business owners that meet that demographic and criteria. With that being said, on top of that, reduce the credit limit. That's not going to be, hopefully, get rid of that. That is a challenge. Get rid of the credit limit, as well as the startups. We don't fund right now startups. That's really important. There's an area and a target area demographic that we're just missing completely. I want to get rid of that too. So if you have a great idea, if you have a business, and if you started that and you're just, as long as you fit those criteria within the character-based lending program, we want to fund you. So I'm going to go back to Berkshire Bank and say, this is the product, and this is what we want to do, and challenge our thought process, and we challenge them to get something like that done. So I have a year. Mark my word from today. I will try to get that done within the next year.
Can I add a challenge?
Yes.
I have to add a challenge to this, to our financial institutions. One barrier or that I hope to see is this education on building generational wealth. Okay, because that's missing. There's a lot of funding from the state, from the feds that are moving around, from the private sector. Great, love that. But how about you teach me how to take that $50,000 or part of it and invest it so I can multiply that times 10 versus it being done and then I need to go back to you for more money. Like that's, I want to see that.
I'm going to talk to our wealth department and we'll get something like that done.
Thank you so much. I wish I had more time. Next time, my place, some cookies and coffee. Every time I talk to you, I learn a lot. So thank you for being here. I hope you got knowledge out of this. Reach out to them, talk to them. They'll be here for a networking portion of the event. Again, thank you, the four of us, for being here. I highly appreciate it. Please, a big round of applause for them. If you want to, feel free. You can stay here as you prefer. I would like to introduce you to Jennifer Drush. She is the mass hire market maker for the Pioneer Valley. Remember her face, remember her name. She's your person to go to if you want to access a program, a fund, a grant. She's a person that will grab your hand and take you throughout all of the steps, the processes, the requisites. All yours, Jen.
Thank you so much. So it's wonderful to be here, and it's always wonderful to hear about all the new resources that are out there because I'm constantly trying to learn more about what's going on. But before I go into that, I'm going to give you a little bit of history about what a market maker is, because for some of you, probably a lot of you, you've never heard the term before, or if you have, it's in financial institution industry, which is not what I do. So the term market maker, this came about because, as you all know, the American Rescue Plan Act dollars, ARPA, the state of Massachusetts, or the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, received, I believe, something along the lines of $13 billion to be invested, and they took about $250 million and invested that into workforce training funds. And what the state realized, and I have to give them kudos for this because this is also a first for the state, is that they recognize they're great at setting up grants and getting money, but what they're not good at is selling that money, is getting it out to the public. So my primary goal is to stand before you and tell you there is money out there for you. Please take it and let me help you. Okay? So with all of that being said, is it an easy process? Of course it's not going to be an easy process. This is the state. So, but that is also one of my tasks, is to try to make it as easy of a lift as possible. So what are some of these grants that I work with? Well, some of them, they kind of go into two different buckets, if you will. They're all about workforce training. So I'm going to phrase that. Workforce training, what does that involve? Workforce training is either working with your current employees to upskill them. Maybe they're lacking in Excel work, or maybe they need to get a licensure in the financial institution, or they just need some help with management because you want to upskill your employees. Well, there's one bucket for that. The other bucket is if you need to hire new employees. Are you looking to expand? Are you looking to just hire new employees to fill positions that you're upskilling? Well, there's a separate bucket for that as well. In fact, there's a very large bucket of money for that one. So how does this work? Well, like you've heard from Karen as well as others, there are many, many different ways to go about it. And the best way to do it is to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with myself so that I can better guide you onto which avenue is going to work best for you. The next lift after that, it's super easy. You tell me what you want, I work down, I connect you with a training provider, I work directly with the training provider, we write the grant, we go for the money, we set up the training. You just have to interview and hire. Pretty simple. At least that's how I make it. And then, of course, there's always snafus that come up. Now, the other thing that I like to do is to find ways to leverage additional resources. So you heard Ron talking about Revex and some of the funds that they have available to the LGBTQ plus community as well as the minority community. Well, I would love to work with Ron on individual bases because, again, with a lot of these states, a lot of these grants, what the state would like to see is to see investment from the employers. Now, when you're talking about small businesses, it's really hard to invest in your employees when you're just getting by yourself. So I would love to work with financial institutions that can maybe help provide that line of credit to endorse and support those grants in addition. I also like to double grant, which means I will work to do both upskilling workforce training, current training, connect with Mass CEC to get a Mass CEC Clean Energy Council. Forgive me, I talk in acronyms, so I will try not to. Working with Mass Development as well to see if we can't get capital investment as well as workforce training so that we're addressing both of those needs and barriers at the same time. So with that being said, I'll give you a few grants that we are talking about, talking from the bucket of upskilling your current employees. Now, this is what's called the Workforce Training Fund program, and they have two different avenues, but the one that I love to talk about is the Express grant. It is kind of what you would consider an off-the-shelf grant. So you go to the Workforce Training Fund Express directory, you look at the types of programs that you would like to do. I know that, for example, big ones, like I mentioned, is management skills, and also say WordPress, Word documents, anything in the Word suites, Excel, etc. You can go on there, and if you are a Massachusetts employer that pays into the unemployment insurance system, it will cover, and you're under 100 employees, it will cover up to 100% of that training program, up to $3,000 per employee, up to $30,000 per year. That means you can keep going back year after year and use this. Why is this free to you? Because you guys are already paying for it. You're paying for it out of your unemployment insurance system. So I highly, highly, highly recommend you take advantage of this if you can. And the other factor is, if you are already paying and investing into your employers by sending them to a training provider, don't. Come talk to me. Let's get that training provider on the Express list, and then you don't have to pay anymore. You can go through the Express program as well. So with that being said, another grant that I love to talk about, and this is on the other side, is called SCALE. This is what's called a planning grant. What I love about this is that this grant allows you to actually develop a training program for yourself, or if you want to partner with other employers as well. This is up to $30,000. It can cover the cost of your travel, a consultant, marketing, your own salary, your employee salaries that you go there. There is a small caveat of, I'm trying to remember, I think it's a 30% match, but that match can be primarily focused on me bringing the training providers to the table in my time as well. It can be what's called in-kind match. Of course, the other caveat to this is they want you to go and apply for the next level, which is the Workforce Competitiveness Trust Fund or another implementation grant. So once you get that training developed, they want you to go into and actually start the training program itself. And again, I'll be there holding your hand the whole time, doing a lot of the coordination. I like to call it the herding of the cats, because let's see, everybody's super busy. In my expertise is really in doing that, is bringing people together. So I think at this point in time, if you guys have any questions for me, I would love to have the time to answer. I will also mention some of the grants I talked about are these cool little half cards. And then I also have my business card at the table over there if you have more questions. And I think I hand it back
Thank you,
to
Jen.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes. So for the last portion of the event, who is a business owner here? Charles, welcome. We chose you. Can you come up? Can you come over? First, thank you so much. Big Bird donated coffee and refreshments for us. You need to visit them. They are in the same building. Charles, what are some challenges? Have you ever tried to access grants?
Now, while I am one of the owners, I'm primarily the HR manager, so I have absolutely no place to be talking about this. We did apply for some grants. Primarily, we made use of the rebuilding grant, whatever it was called, during the COVID-19 height. We've actually been rejected for several grants as well, for reasons I'm not entirely clear on. There weren't anything from your company, I promise.
What was the need? Were you looking to provide training to your employees with this grant?
We were just looking for startup funds, effectively.
Like to grow the business.
Precisely.
Okay. Have you heard about CompCorp before?
Nope.
This is the first time. How did you find out about the event? Through the chamber? Yeah,
I heard about it. Well, I think she's behind the wall right now, but I heard about it through Karen.
Okay. Well, I invite you to take some cards, reach out. Thank you for being here. Thank you again. I hope we can discuss more about the programs we can help you with, because that's what that's why we are here for. I don't know if some of you have heard about CompCorp. Nope. And maybe you do not understand by now who we are. CompCorp administers and delivers the money on behalf of the Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development. So if you're a business owner, you need to reach out to us. You need to go to our website. There are some cards. We have different programs. Like each program has specific requisites and processes, but Jen can help you understand them and move forward. So I don't know if someone else, another business owner, wants to talk about their experience. Now I don't see hands.
Are there any person else in business?
You? Okay, yeah, sure.
I know what I'm signing up for.
What's your name?
I'm Jessie.
Jessie, there's a microphone there. So what's your business?
J. Curley Collective. I do leadership development, consulting, and coaching. So I help build cultures.
How many employees do you have?
None.
None? It's just you now.
Just me for now. Yeah.
Have you ever tried accessing one grant funds?
Yes, I actually got the MGCC Digital Empower grant.
What was the main challenge for you? The requisites, the time?
Well, that one, because I've applied to a few other ones, like I did a Hello Alice one on my own, but the MGCC one, there was a sponsor, Common Capital was my sponsor, and so there was a lot of support if I needed it to, create it, and then there was also the vendor that was identified in the beginning helped actually to write the materials for the grant submission.
Okay. And how did you find out about this grant? Through this vendor or?
Gosh, it was either through these guys or Common Capital or both. Yeah. The chamber or Common
How
Capital.
did you use the money?
So it was set up specifically for digital presence, and so I did a lot of social media stuff that I never would have done. I don't like doing that, to be honest. And we worked on a bunch of newsletter strategies, and the strategy part was really important, to have somebody help me think through strategy, because I like to think through strategy, but then to have the implementation as well was really powerful, and to have my business be present in ways that I never would have, and do things like little video clips and things that are super uncomfortable, but you know, they helped me do it.
Okay, so you were looking to grow. You used social media outreach strategies, but are you looking to have more employees by now?
Yes, actually, my goal this year was to get certified, and so I want to talk to you. Yeah, so that's my hope, is that maybe through that avenue that could help me scale, because it's really hard to scale at this point, you know, wearing all the hats, as I'm sure people in this room know about that.
So besides that, what other barriers have you seen, especially for the LGBTQ community?
Well, because
regarding access to grants.
Oh, specifically access to grants. I've kind of been working in a silo, to be honest. So I don't know that I can speak to that really well. I think it's the resource problem. You know, like I got lucky because I was a Common Capital client. So I got a business loan from them. So I was super lucky. And once you're in, you've got that resource access. And so I felt like folks who don't have that first connection, like if you just need to get that one connection.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you get in with Common Capital?
Again, I was in with another organization during COVID. I lost my job. I was unemployed. I was fortunate enough to be part of the MSBDC advising team on a COVID grant. And so because I was working for MSBDC, I had access to all their sister organizations that I didn't know about, and Common Capital was one of them. And, you know, it's like dominoes. You get one, you get the other, but to get that first one. So I think it was MSBDC. Yeah.
And then you said you're a consultant and you do leadership development, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. And coaching.
Have you considered signing up for the Workforce Training Fund Express America?
So it was overwhelming at first. I know about that program, and so what I did actually was I partnered with Greenfield Community College Workforce Development, and so I'm listed, but through them. And I actually want to talk to you too, because I wondered if you talked, because I would love to just list myself, but it's overwhelming, and I didn't really know how to go there.
Jen,
So-
why would you recommend those two programs specifically?
So the Workforce Training Fund Express one is just because it gets your name out there. The other thing too is if I know training vendors and I work with them on a regular basis, then I can recommend them. And that is another really great way to get your name out there, to network, and then to also make more money.
Amazing. Another business owner here.
Not so bad. Come on.
Thank you. Welcome. What's your name?
Oh, I have a mic. This is about to get dangerous.
Okay.
Okay. So my
Are
name
we
is.
gonna sing or?
Oh, I'm ready. I can Whitney this.
Okay.
My name is Mayrena Guerrero. I am the owner and CEO of Colorful Resilience. We're an outpatient mental health clinic in West Springfield, and we opened in August.
Okay.
And looking to expand.
How many employees do you have now?
We have 2 administrative employees and 8 clinicians.
Okay. Yeah. So I know you just started, but have you tried to access any grants?
Listen, let's talk.
I want the truth. I want the challenges you had.
Listen, everywhere. I go everywhere looking for resources. Talk about checking boxes. I am queer identified. I am Latina. I'm an immigrant. I mean, what else do you want from me? I speak Spanish. Let's do this. But yes, they're scattered. And once you understand what's going on, it's really hard to push through. For example, the chamber has been amazing. I love the chamber. I love Angie. They're doing such a wonderful job. They really connect you with resources, but they walk you through it. There you are. I love you. You're amazing. But for example, if they got me LGBT certified. As the business, obviously, not me. I've been certified by my wife. Now I want to be certified as woman-owned. You and I, we gotta talk. I gotta be certified as minority-owned or Latino-owned. But I went to the website and it's not friendly. And I'm like, oh my God, I have a master's degree. I can't figure this out. But no.
Whose website? ComCorp's?
No.
SDOs. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I went to the SBA website. That was, and sam.com and .gov, and I was like, So that's the problem, number one. Number two, when you're a startup, financial institutions don't want to give you money. So thank God for Common Capital. Common Capital is amazing. I love Common Capital. So now we're set, right? We're in Western Mass, we're kicking butts, we're doing great. Now we want to expand. Where that money for me to open a Call for Resilience in Boston? You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at. Hi, I'm a talker.
So have you heard of Mass Growth Capital Corporation?
Tell me more.
So they have two ones, which I believe, I'm sorry, thank you, mentioned, which is, So they have a digital literacy one up to $5,000 to help create a digital marketing campaign for you. The other one is a capital investment that it is a match funds investment up to $20,000. So if you can go out into your community and get funds, you can match with them. There's also a specific Mass CEC diversity grant that I'm not recalling off the top of my head, but if you want to take my card or if I take yours, I can send you the information and connect you with Jennifer Applebaum, who is in charge of that area. And that one's a much larger grant, up to $50,000 to $100,000. So those are just three off the top of my head that I can recommend.
How long does it take?
The process varies. Unfortunately, so my understanding is MGCC is a relatively quick turnaround time. Yep, I was going to say 4 to 6 weeks.
You and I need to talk, darling.
And then yes, for that one. But then the Mass CEC one, I'm not sure about. Typically, when you're dealing with the non-state direct grants, it is usually about 4 to 6 weeks turnaround time. But when you're going directly to state or municipal ones, I've heard it can take up to 6 months. Okay. So requisites, again, for the Mass CEC, I'm not totally sure of. I know for the Mass Growth Capital Corporation ones, those are going to be, you have to be low to moderate income, and they have a special line for those of minority or LGBT plus business owners.
So how are you going to spend this money? What's on your mind?
Oh, let me tell you. So we're talking about how to support our employees, right? So a Call for Resilience, all of our employees, whether they're full-time or part-time, first and foremost, everybody makes the same amount of money. So all of my clinicians make $70K. Boom. Part-time, $35K. Boom.
Hire me.
It's a thing, right? It's a thing because we need to pay not only what people are worth for it, people need to live and pay their bills, and in mental health we're overworked and underpaid, so we wanted to be respectful of that. And also their income doesn't depend on whether or not the insurance company pays me. Sometimes they don't, and sometimes they take a long time to pay me, but their money is there. So what do I want the money for? Well, for operating expenses, so that I can pay the salaries of my employees. So what do I need? I need $300K per clinic. So that's what Common Capital lent me to open the first Call for Resilience here in Western Mass, and it's been amazing. So we opened August 1st. We started with 4 clinicians and 0 clients. So today we have 8 clinicians and 162 clients. So just like that, right? So, yeah.
Was your experience good? Was it easy?
With who?
With this to access this grant?
Let me think. How do I get to Common Capital? Oh, I called my bank. I'm not gonna name them because I'm mad at them. And they sent me, because I've been in private practice for 8 years. They know my income. I'm like, let's do this. And they're like, we don't invest in startups. And I'm like, whatever. And they sent me to Common Capital. And I didn't even know that existed. It was the best resource ever. Not true. The Chamber is the best resource ever. They're in competition, the two of them. I love them. Yeah, I'm in love with them, both. Yes.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing your experience. Sure. Come over. Good afternoon. What's your name?
My name is Frank Amaro. I'm a human resource manager for Danny O'Connell's Sons in Holyoke, one of the most major construction companies here. First of all, I want to say that Jen is amazing. Everything she says here is true because she's done it. And she's put me in contact with a lot of amazing people. My reason for coming here is you talk about barriers. I'm trying to open the doors for the LGBTQ plus community in the construction field. And you know how the construction field are. It's, I hate to say it, but it's a manly job and so forth like that. We have a project that's going on now in Amherst. And for the first time ever in a construction company, we have a goal, since it's new, is a goal of 1% LGBTQ. I feel that I'm in the right place with things that Terrell said and things that the rest of the panel said is amazing. My biggest challenge right now is how do I get, I know that this is a very proud community. And I know you're proud, and I love the way everyone expressed themselves, that they're here center and they're who they are. And being born and raised in New York and being a Latino myself, I know where you guys are coming from and where everyone is coming from, and I love it.
Why the LGBTQ community?
Well, because it's a community that I think that hasn't been serviced. And it's a community that I think, especially in the construction field, is something that no one has ever thought about. And I think it's time. I think it's time. They're great jobs. They're in the trades. They're jobs that you could support your family. The wages are incredible. And I think especially for the young community coming up, one of the things that's happening is that the people who are in it now, they're growing out. They're getting into age. They need people. They need blood. And here's this beautiful community out there that no one's tapping into. So this is my goal, to tap into it. My biggest challenge right now is, how do you self-identify? Because when we hire people, everything comes with goals. We have to have so many percentage of minorities, so many percentage of women, so many of veterans. And now, right now I have, my goal is 1%. 1% for the LGBTQ community. Everybody wants their hands off. Everybody's afraid. Whenever I talk about this subject, is they're like, oh, you want me to get sued? You want me? So I'm saying it's not like that. So it's funny because I brought a form that I wanted to pass around. I loved the gentleman who was sitting here. Mm-hmm. The way he talked, because people have a habit of just one title, and that one title fits all. And that one title does not fit all, because everyone's different and everyone identifies differently. So what's one barrier for LGBTQ for them to self-identify?
Inside of the construction industry, what's one barrier?
The number one barrier is that they think they cannot do the job. They think it's a manly's job. They think, people are used to, let's be honest, people are used to when you see construction guys in the street and a pretty girl goes by, they whistle, all this stuff is a manly's job. No one from the LGBTQ community could do this. Okay. And I'm here to challenge. I heard about all these challenges. I think this is one of the biggest challenges there is getting workers in this community that want to make a good living, want to do good. Not everybody wants to be a machine operator. Not everybody wants to.
I think it's amazing. I could totally help you. I could connect you with some people, but I want to know, what are you doing? You are HR. What are you doing to tackle this barrier?
Well, what I'm doing to tackle the barrier is giving opportunities. First of all, we have the first major construction site with a goal for the LGBT community. That's the first thing we're doing. Second thing is we're honestly trying to open the doors with them for all respect. I come from a family where my second older brother was in that community. And we loved him. And I'll never forget, as a kid, I was 11 years old. And he came out to my parents at the age of 14. And God bless his soul, my father passed away 16 years ago. But I remember hearing my father telling him, you're still a human being, you're still worth, you got a heart, and I don't care what you are, you're my son, and we love you, and you are who you are. And his legacy, you know, he passed away when AIDS came on, and at that time it was very different.
Going back to workforce development, what are you doing to tackle this barrier?
I'm trying to come to sessions like this, looking for help, because nobody, even when you mention it, people freak out. Even when you mention it, no, I'm not going to ask them. What do you mean self-identify? You want us to get sued? I don't think it has to be like that. Yeah. I mean, we service every other community, right? Am I right or am I wrong? We service every other community, whether it's women, whether it's veterans, whether it's minority, whatever it is. Why not the LGBTQ community? Why not get them in construction jobs and give them an opportunity? And I think today more than ever with the economy the way it is, people want jobs that they could support their families and they could support themselves, and you could do that in the construction industry.
I'm with you. Please pass the form. Feel free to leave it here. If anyone wants to sign up, please give them more information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. I think it was an insightful conversation. We hope, I'm talking on behalf of Commonwealth Corporation, our CEO, Christine Abrams. She couldn't be here, but thank you so much for being here from her. Thank you, Tom, for helping us from ComCorp as well. Thank you, Lucila. Please connect with partners, with the speakers, exchange some business cards, and once again, thank you.